like a Hellcat.
Before we get started, I have a favor. If you enjoy my content and want to see me continue to improve in both quality and size, please check out my Patreon linked in the description. Any amount helps and it is greatly appreciated. There are so many rewards for each level of donation, so go check it out. Now back to the video. Hey guys, this is EmeraldAvengerG, and with the Winter Wonderland patch, Blizzard finally pushed out the patch that has been on the PTR for the past almost month and a half. This patch included the armor changes, the shield nerfs, as well as a bunch of other smaller and bigger, however you look at them, changes to various different characters. But the patch that came to live is actually a little different than the patch that was on the PTR. Actually, until yesterday, we thought it was even more different than it actually was. So what's the difference? Well, before we get to that, I think I need to go back through what the changes were. First off, the general change was armor's reduction was increased to 5 from 3, so back to the pre-GOATS level that it was at before they had to nerf it because Brig was overpowered. Next is Orisa. Base armor increased from 200 to 250, protective barrier health reduced from 900 to 600, and fortify cooldown decreased from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. Sigma's experimental barrier, the biggest change in the entire patch, health reduced from 1,500 to 900. Barrier health regeneration reduced from 150 to 120 health per second. And then kinetic grasp, the cooldown was reduced from 13 seconds to 10 seconds, and it now gains 60% damage as shields instead of 40% damage as shields. Reinhardt's barrier field health was reduced from 2,000 to 1,600, movement speed penalty reduced from 50% to 30%. And steadfast passive knockback resistance increased from 30 to 50%. These were the main changes, but one of these changes was a little different in the last set of patch notes, and one is entirely missing from the PTR. So let's start off with the one that was changed in the patch notes, the steadfast passive. Originally, whenever we got the patch to live, this was not actually shown, which made us think that they removed the buff to steadfast, but instead, like a day or maybe in a couple hours later, they rewrote it into the patch notes and we found that it was fixed, so steadfast now basically is a 50% fortify without the damage resistance. But the next change is one that didn't come over at all and is quite noticeable. Orisa no longer has the buff to her movement speed whenever she was firing like she did on the PTR. Currently when she's firing, she has a reduction of speed by 30%, while on the PTR before the patch went live, it was reduced to 20%. Now why this change didn't make it over, maybe Blizzard thought that she was overpowered, maybe it's a mistake like the Reinhardt passive, but it is noticeable in gameplay that she is not as fast as she was in the PTR. So I wanted to go ahead and show you what these changes to Orisa look like. So on the PTR, she would move ever so slightly faster than this, because this is currently a 30% decrease. I'm not sure how well my audio is picking up. A 30% decrease in speed. On the PTR, it was changed to a 20% decrease to speed, movement speed. But that did not carry over to live. Now, what the reason for this is, we are not sure. It's likely just because Blizzard thought that she was a little too powerful like this, so they removed it. I think this is a lot more comfortable with the speed. It doesn't make her absolutely, like, unstoppable in movement. It doesn't change anything about it. Basically, the only things that change about her are her fortify cooldown, her barrier health, and the amount of armor that she already has. So next, let's go to Reinhardt. So Reinhardt's change, he has a similar change. He had a similar change, except this was to when he was using his barrier. He had moved slower. It's now at 30%, but it was at 50%. So Reinhardt now moves at the same exact speed as Orisa whenever she's firing, as whenever he's holding up his barrier. But then the other change to him was a steadfast, so I don't really have a way of showing it here, but it in fact did make it through despite what the our first set of PTR patches showed and what I've already explained. It did make it through. I'm not sure why the patch notes had a discrepancy like that. I'm not even 100% sure if the Orisa patch notes have a discrepancy. I'm not sure if they maybe changed how big the change was and just didn't update it or what happened. We just gotta wait and see. I'm thinking that they kept it the same, but some people are saying that it does feel a little faster. It might just be because they don't play Orisa as often as I unfortunately have to with esports, but yeah. So let's hop right back into the rest of the video. So this does beg the question, will Orisa still be the dominant tank in the meta because this change didn't come through? I personally think she will, if not be paralleled by Reinhardt, because Reinhardt is in a great position. I still feel like he could be buffed a little bit in some areas, but he's in a great position. His barrier has the most health. He generally deals out the most damage whenever he's in a brawl, as well as he has one of the most powerful ultimates of all the tanks in the entire game outside of Zarya. Do I think my original predictions of a rock, paper, scissors meta will still be in play? I do definitely think that a rock, paper, scissors style meta will be in play, but probably not as powerful as I once thought. I think Orisa Roadhog will still be powerful. Lion Zarya is definitely coming back because Zarya did get a little bit of a damage buff, sort of a damage buff, an AoE to her explosive damage buff, which should help her and Reinhardt do really well in the meta. In addition to this, the PTR also introduced a new change that is a team or party flex system that allows parties to change what they're queuing for in between games without having to stop the queue and then restart the queue and then reselect different roles. They can just reselect different roles at the end of the game while the queue is going. It will, in theory, reduce the queue time. Of course, it will basically reset queuing, but it won't like stop the search for a game. It will continue the search for a game so you don't lose any time out of it. Overall, I think it's a good feature. I'm glad it's coming through since me and my esports team play a lot in groups together. We like switching in between matches anyway, so that definitely should be a help. But also, another thing that was noticed by several other YouTubers, I didn't get a chance to get a video on it because they patched it out as soon as I started to record it. May could entirely throw off the physics of a player. What you do is on any object of the map that moves, whether it's control point doors or payload, if it changed angles whenever it broke, and there's a player on top of it, it would change their physical angle. Therefore, they could be sideways and just like literally phasing into the ground. I unfortunately did not get to get any gameplay of this. I wish I would have. It'd been really funny, but unfortunately they patched it out as I was going to record. So what do you guys think about these changes that finally made it to live? Why do you think that they didn't include the Zarya? Why do you think they didn't include the Orisa change? Do you think that Blizzard thought they were overpowered or something? I honestly don't know why. I thought they were fine changes. I thought they made her a little powerful, but I mean, she's already a really powerful tank as it is. So what do you guys think? Please feel free to tell me in the comment section below or in the Discord server. As always, thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Go follow me on all my socials. Keep updated with me off the channel. Go to my Discord, join the conversation. Go to my Patreon if you feel like supporting me. This is Matt, the EmeraldAvenger. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Peace out.